Cement City, Dhahran, Saudi Arabia. This is the staging area for U.S. troops participating in Operation Desert Shield. The 41st Combat Support Hospital send their greetings to San Antonio. They've been in Cement City for 3 days. Soon they will travel to far northern Saudi Arabia to set up their hospital. It will be the closest hospital to the front should war break out. There is tension among the troops, but their morale is high. In their words, they are good to go.
Good to Go, a KMOL News special with reporter Brian Karem. This program is made possible by your Texas Ford dealers and by Pizza Hut, making it great.
Covering! Attend!
It's Monday, November 19th, 1990, 10 a.m. at Fort Sam Houston.
Steady! Just got the phone a couple minutes ago with Colonel Abadili.
Since August, the members of the 41st have been preparing for the coming week. They will soon leave their homes and families to become part of the surging combat force in the Middle East.
You need to be prepared for a very austere environment. Showers, those kinds of things are not going to be available to us all the time, so be prepared for that and get your mind ready. We're still in the window between now and Wednesday to get on the plane, so be prepared.
The announcement by Captain Tom Whitman is sobering. The group is expected to leave before Thanksgiving.
No alcoholic beverage as of now.
Why?
Drink all the Coke you can drink. Y'all should know better than that.
Make sure you put this out to all your soldiers. This is where they will be getting the mail at.
Simmons, Curry!
The 300 servicemen, including doctors and nurses, are given their final instructions. The rules seem harsh, but soon they will be leaving for the harsh environment of the desert.
It's still kind of hard. You get those jittery butterflies of what's going to happen, but I'm ready to go.
I got a lot of jitteries like a lot of other people say. You know, I feel nervous at times about wondering what might happen when we get over there.
Some have trouble explaining to their children why they are going. Sergeant Lewis DeWilby had to sit down with his 7-year-old daughter and tell her about war.
Well, I tell her I've got to go over to Saudi, and I'm upfront with her. I say, look, there's a war. We may have a war, and I'm fighting for my country, and she's got to understand that.
Portia Britton is a 38-year-old grandmother, and she has 2 teenagers living at home.
I raised my kids quite a few years by myself, and they don't basically have anyone else but me. So just the fact that I'll be gone and they won't be able to pick up the phone and call me like they do now almost every day. That is really and the grandson, who I usually spend all my weekends with and stuff. I'm going to miss him.
Okay, don't drop down now. We're right in the window, so be ready.
Despite their concerns, the members of the 41st still say they are good to go. This resolve will be thoroughly tested during the coming week. First Sergeant Robert H. Blocker, a Vietnam veteran, will attempt to keep the troops in line and morale high, while Captain Whitman will deliver the group to Lieutenant Colonel Robert Abadili, the unit's commander who is already in Saudi Arabia.
The sand over there, though, is very, very fine. It's almost like a powder.
Among the troops are newlywed couple Tony and Jamie Pattenow, Amanda Horn, and Scott Webster. The Pattenouds got married just 2 months ago and will travel to the Middle East together.
Kind of weird, isn't it? A married couple going off to war together?
It sort of is, yes. We're hoping we can stay together once we're over there. You know, hoping they don't separate us and put me in another unit.
I'm just thankful I have him with me.
Uh-oh. That's what happens every day, Brian.
But Scott Webster will not see his family for quite a while. His daughters, Becca and Danny, will have to get used to not having Daddy around.
That's the kind of things we do every day.
Well, I just told her that Daddy had to go to work, and it's going to be a while before I come back. You know, and there's not really much you can say to a girl that's almost 3.
Yeah.
So you just kind of do the best you can.
For Scott's wife, Jody, the most difficult part will not be raising her 2 daughters alone, but rather giving birth to their 3rd child without Scott. She's due December 3rd.
The idea of him being gone for who knows how long and not seeing his baby, until he gets back. That's been the rough part.
Meanwhile, Terry Horn and his wife are also preparing for a long separation. Terry, an unemployed carpenter, will take care of their two daughters, Candace and Holly, while his wife, Amanda, leaves with the 41st for Saudi Arabia.
I try not to think about it a lot. If I could go and she stay here, I would, but that's not the way it is.
How do you prepare? I've packed my bags, but you don't really prepare mentally. You just kind of go with whatever comes.
The separation will be exceptionally difficult because the girls are so close to their mother.
I think something ugly.
Don't let Mom go.
No, that's not going to work.
Squad leaders, assume your
It is
post.
now Friday, November 23rd, before dawn at Fort Sam Houston. The 41st is assembled to leave. Because of scheduling problems, the unit got a small reprieve and spent Thanksgiving with family. But now it's time to go.
Sir, we need you inside now. Is that clear, sir? Please.
Who's missing?
We're just getting seasick, those there.
Third squad, KMOL.
This is not the local drive-in movie. This is Dhahran Saudi Arabia, Cement City, the forward staging area for U.S. Army troops in this desert country. The first thing you notice here is how quickly the soldiers adapt to the environment. A game of dominoes or VHS recordings of The Simpsons on an outdoor screen. By day, it's hard to tell at first glance whether or not you're at the beach, with volleyball, tanning, and dressing down as major activities. And there is certainly enough sand for a beach, but the reality is the only water you'll see here is in these bottles. Your latrine facilities are severely limited, and taking a shower is a 3-minute skin-tingling event under cold water. This is where the 41st is now prepared to bunk down for the next few weeks. It is November 24th, and the troops have been en route for 20 hours. Captain Whitman goes over the final plans in a staff meeting before they land.
The next promise is sleeping arrangements. If we get squared away already, they may already be, I'm sure other units will come through here, they may already be taken care of. A natural place where everybody goes in one area.
Everything is relative in this country. This is a third world country.
The 41st makes it to Cement City by 1 a.m. on November 25th, and an exhausted group of soldiers listen to Colonel Abadili's briefing. Afterwards, they'll try to sleep, but many can't because of jet lag. By dawn, the 41st will join the thousands who temporarily call Cement City home. They'll get used to the cold showers, the communal wash areas, the lack of drainage, and questionable sanitary conditions. The doctors and nurses say the real slap in the face is the latrines. At dawn, the smell is overpowering. On the full heat of the Saudi sun, they become unbearable.
These stupid flies around here. Can't take a decent. And you know, this is it. I'm really pissed at this.
Well, it's less than ideal, to say the least. Well, some of the problems are that they don't seem to have adequate drainage. from hand washing. They don't have enough hand washing facilities. The showers are reasonable. The latrines are at least cleaned out fairly frequently, but they're relatively dirty inside.
Gosh, I hate going to the latrine. It's too bad it's a necessary thing.
The problems of sanitation at the latrines and the showers have become so acute that the chief surgeon for the 41st Combat Support Hospital has begun talking with a man running Cement City in hopes of avoiding what he calls a possibility of a major outbreak of dysentery among the 6,000 troops that are temporarily housed here.
Just have strawberry. That's it, just strawberry.
After a shower in the shade, the 41st joins the multitudes in line to eat. The Army calls the food T-rats. Soldiers say that's Army lingo for food that's hard to swallow.
It's edible.
Yeah.
I haven't thrown up yet.
I missed breakfast this morning, but yesterday it was kind of like bouncing eggs.
By afternoon, a routine is established that won't be broken for a week, and the 41st joins other units in a game of volleyball.
Let's go. Water break, where you going? Water break.
But the games don't last long without a water break.
Hey, you can water, man. We passed out. Come on.
Come on. Drink water, man. Come on.
Others pass the hot day inside. One group of soldiers hangs the American flag over their bunks. Under an agreement with the Saudi government, the military won't allow the Stars and Stripes to be displayed openly.
It makes me nervous.
Earlier we met Jamie Patnow. She and her husband are in the 41st, and now that they're in Saudi Arabia, they don't get much time together.
I'm just waiting for him to get his butt out of bed so I can see him.
You guys can't bunk together, can you?
No, won't allow it.
Jamie isn't really content with seeing Tony at his bunk, but these few moments alone are all they'll have for a while. Amanda Horn, whom you also met earlier, already misses her family, but she hasn't let it affect her fine sense of humor.
Anything you want us to tell your husband when we get back?
Well, he knows I love him, but you can tell him anyway.
I won't kiss him for you, though.
He probably wouldn't let you.
New generation sunglasses, Desert Shields.
Scott Webster misses his family, too. He passes his time playing football while waiting for the 41st supplies to arrive. But his thoughts keep drifting home.
I miss coming home in the afternoon and the girls running up to me, Daddy, so giving me a big hug. You always use one of those.
Helicopters and jets fly over the Cement City compound constantly. It reminds some of the veterans of Vietnam, and the ghost of that war hangs over everything that goes on here.
I guess one of the biggest fears is that the people back home would quit supporting us and turn around and say that we're wrong and turn into another situation like Vietnam.
We're not the bad guys. We're doing the job that we're told to do. If you don't like the policy, get mad at the person making the policy, not us.
There are older soldiers in the 41st who served in Vietnam. They find few similarities between that war and their current position.
Southeast Asia was a paradise. You had trees. And if you got too hot, you could at least go get in the shade.
But there is no doubt they'll put their Vietnam experience to work for them here, helping out some of the younger members of the 41st who weren't even alive when the Vietnam War started.
I know how to survive, period. And that's what this is going to take.
What do you think is the biggest problem with trying to make it through this?
Just keeping the morale up and keeping the spirits up. That's the biggest thing right now.
What about, you have some veterans here who are in Vietnam. You think that's going to help you guys out?
It should. I mean, they got the experience. I guess all of us will be looking to them for advice and, guidance.
The men and women in the 41st Combat Support Hospital are now being doled out rations that are expected to last several days. Their biggest problem until they get to their camp up north is maintaining adequate supply, not only so they can exist themselves, but also so they can maintain their hospital. Colonel Abedili says the 41st will move to its new home by the end of the week. He takes us there on a trip north that can impress you for a number of reasons. The first impression you get is of the size of Cement City as you leave it, and the health problems there. A giant dump sits just off the post, and sentries say they've seen huge rats here.
No, right now it's very much a third world country, and I think for soldiers coming to this part of the world, they need to understand it's not like going to a training mission.
The cleanliness of the Saudi Arabian cities is impressive, as are the small children who run up to the American war vehicles, flashing the victory signs. Impressive, too, is the influence America has here, and the economy that continues to grow. New construction is everywhere despite the threat of war. While the main body of the 41st Combat Support Hospital languishes far south of us in Cement City, the advance party has been scouting out this location here for the last 2 weeks. Eventually, what you see behind me will become a 200-bed hospital, All of that will take place sometime within the next few weeks.
Personally, it just gets lonely out here after a while. Male bonding only takes you so far.
The base camp has been a lonely post for a handful of men. Colonel Stephen Massey has provided some companionship and help. His engineers have graded the site that will eventually become the 41st Combat Support Hospital.
They're going to need a lot more work when they get the rest of their equipment here. Just as you move in, you keep needing more and more and more to survive around here. It's pretty basic living.
Massey has lived out in the desert with his men for more than a month. He says his experience shows it's going to be hard to operate in the sandy stretches of the far northern Saudi desert.
We found that the environment in the desert is a little bit harder on our equipment, and we have to intensify our maintenance efforts in order to continue to be able to perform our mission.
Trucks are already bringing supplies north, but the doctors in the 41st have their own concerns about this location.
There will be a lot of dust out here when the wind blows, and keeping dust out of the hospital is going to be an ongoing problem, and we have some real high-tech equipment in the hospital.
Dr. Bowman, like the others in the 41st, questions coming out here.
Seeing injured Americans would be very disturbing to me, and I'm certainly not looking forward to have to do that.
And out here, the threat of chemical warfare is far greater. There are camps all around us, and we can hear the sound of artillery practicing in the distance. It seems that operating a hospital in this environment will be a constant challenge, but that's okay with Colonel Abedili. He believes the hospital will be on the cutting edge of technology.
The bringing in of the DetMeds equipment, the new generation of medical equipment, will enhance that. This certainly will be a major testing ground for it.
The equipment that we'll have out here is going to be able to provide troops with more sophisticated medical and surgical care than any country in the world is probably able to provide their combat troops.
These berms have been built to keep Iraqi tanks from overrunning the positions of the 41st Combat Support Hospital. It will be the northernmost hospital in the American lines, and if war were to break out, the people who work in this hospital would see more than their fair share of action. If the troops are called out, if the tanks roll, if war is declared, the members of the 41st Combat Support Hospital say their biggest fear from Iraq is in their chemical weaponry. Everywhere you look, soldiers have their gas masks by their side. Should there be a call for gas, the soldier has 15 seconds to hold his breath and get his mask on. I offered to demonstrate. The mask is packed for quick removal. And once you have the mask on, blow through it to clear the chambers in case the air in the mask has nerve gas in it. Then you're ready. Now, imagine operating on a patient in this gear.
We don't know how to treat their chemicals because we haven't used them on us. So that's a major concern because it's the unknown. We don't know how to handle something we're not familiar with.
I don't like the threat of war, threat of chemical warfare. You know, that presents a big problem to me, as well as this particular unit being up so close. Because I don't really know if people are prepared to do the job under pressure.
You're severely limited, and especially when surgeons are so much used to the dexterity of their fingers and they have gloves on, it reduces the effectiveness of the entire unit tremendously.
The fear of chemical warfare and the fear of war in general has many of the doctors anxious to get rolling.
My biggest concern is getting our hospital set up and getting it online before any shooting starts.
Do you think that's inevitable?
I don't think it's inevitable, but if I were a betting man, I'd say it's better than a 50-50 chance.
The staff that we pulled from Brooke Army Medical Center, probably the finest soldiers that I've seen in 20 years. And they're more eager to come out here than some of my young soldiers.
I can't stand this place.
Really?
I really can't. Honestly, it's hard living. It's primitive. It's terrible. The food is bad. Everything is bad. I don't like it, but I volunteered for this army, so I guess I have to take it. If I didn't have to take it, I wouldn't be here. God knows that.
Colonel Abedili might be surprised. When we return to Cement City from the desert, we find many of his men just a little stir-crazy. Life in the desert, they say, can't be worse than Cement City.
I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart.
By that night, they're thinking of home again, sending these Christmas greetings back to San Antonio, along with these Christmas messages.
Send some toilet paper and some C-sized batteries for sure.
Hope they have a happy and Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Be home to see you real soon.
And what do you think of the food here at Cement City?
Well, I tell you what, dinner's delicious. Don't eat no breakfast. Lunch is A-OK if you love MREs.
Hi, I'm Captain Elizabeth Kenna. I'd like to say hi to my mother and to my brothers and sisters and tell them that I'm fine. And I hope to be home soon, and I miss them a lot. I miss them a lot.
The next morning, we talk with more soldiers who are anxious to send their Christmas greetings home.
It's like say Merry Christmas to my mother, my father, and the two big heads sitting there with them. And just maybe we'll be back for next Christmas.
Hey, I'm here. I'm having fun. Send me stuff. Copenhagen's good.
And we can tell because he's got 2 pounds of it inside his mouth right now.
Sorry, Dad.
Merry Christmas to Leanne and Paul and Mel in San Antonio, Texas.
Tell me about this.
Oh, my daughter put it in my bag before I left. She snuck it in there with a little teddy bear.
A Merry Christmas, and I wish I could be there.
My main concern is...
You may remember our 38-year-old grandmother, Portia Britton. She says she's still good to go after 3 days in Saudi Arabia, but she wants to go home.
I'm doing fine. I'm doing great. I'm only crying now because I miss everybody, but I'm really doing fine over here.
Some of the Christmas greetings were touching, even poignant. Some got a little silly, and some, well, they just took us by surprise, like Delmas McBee's greetings to his girlfriend in San Antonio.
My fiance Anita, marry me when I get home. And
wait a minute, was that a proposal right here?
Yes, right here on live TV. Marry me when I get home.
And what's her name?
Anita Gurgley. She works down in the ER at BAMSI.
You know, we're going to look her up now.
All right.
How do I spell her last name?
Gergley. Anita.
And all right, now if this is a proper proposal, and we're going to show this to her,
get on your knee.
We got to see you on one knee.
Go, baby, go! Marry me when I get home, Anita Gurgley.
On the day we leave, security tightens at Cement City. The UN is giving Saddam Hussein an ultimatum to get out of Kuwait by January 15th. That prompts some interesting responses from members of the 41st.
I think we have to go in there and trash them people.
Why?
You can't leave them. They've pushed it too far. We didn't do anything. But now that they have, it's time to go in there and thrash.
I wish we could come to terms more peacefully. If we could find a peaceful way of doing this.
If you could say anything to Saddam Hussein that you wanted, what would you say to him?
Napalm sticks to skin.
Yeah, I would say get the hell out of Kuwait because we want to go home and we don't want to waste any lives.
Also on the day we leave, the entire 41st assembles and greets San Antonio with their own Christmas cheer. During the last week, the 41st has moved 300 men and women, tons of equipment across 9,000 miles. Soon they will trek north from Dhahran to their undisclosed location in northern Saudi Arabia. By the time we get back to San Antonio, a week has passed and a lot has changed. We meet Scott Webster's wife, Jody, on Saturday, December 1st, as she takes her 2 children shopping and to see Santa Claus. Jody's had false labor once and may have her 3rd child sooner than she or Scott expected.
I want to kind a little bit.
We also stopped in on Terry Horn, who's now acting as father and mother to his 2 little girls while his wife Amanda is in Saudi Arabia. The week hasn't been easy for him.
I think I miss her a little more than I had thought that I would, you know. Thinking and saying that you'll be able to do one thing and then having to do it, it makes it a little differently.
I wish you a Merry Christmas. Come back, please. I wish you a Merry Christmas.
And we also tracked down Anita Gurgley. That's Delmas McBee's girlfriend. You may remember Delmas. The last time we saw him, he was on his knees. Well, his girlfriend sure remembers him, and she was sure surprised by his proposal.
This is great.
Marry me when I get home and eat a gurney.
Now, if she says yes, you want us to send it back a reply to you?
Oh, yeah.
Now, what if she says no?
Tell her to send me a plane ticket. I'll talk her into it when I get there.
So the question we all want answered is, well, will she marry him?
Sure. Be more than happy to. Can't wait till he gets home.
So it's good news for Delmas and Anita. And we end our piece tonight with some good news as well. While the machinery of war rumbles through the Middle East, prepared to take lives if necessary, Jody Webster brought another life into this world Sunday, December 2nd at 10:07 a.m. Ashley Elizabeth Webster is Scott and Jody Webster's third daughter.
Here's your new baby, Daddy. I was in labor for 22 hours.
If it's a boy, well, what do you want to say to your new son?
Hey, welcome to the world. Daddy'll be home later.
And if it's a girl?
Same thing. Welcome to the world. Hope to see you soon.
This KMOL News Special has been made possible by your Texas Ford dealers and by Pizza Hut, making it great.